Hello everybody, welcome to game 2 of myself versus AndyDavo. I will let Faemir take over. PC will be joining me at some point. I am going to concentrate on the game a lot, so thank you very much. Take it away, Faemir.
Hello, fans of Blood Bowl World Championship. Here we are, the second game. This is where the actual real stuff begins. Whoever wins this game wins the series. There will be only a third game if these two guys are absolutely unable to win again. So hold tight because this is going to be a hell of a match with everything on the line. If he decides to start. They're preparing here. I don't know what's going on. Oh, probably there you go, the teams. And now, here we go. Jimmy wins the toss. Sorry, AndyDavo has won the toss. Jesus Christ. Jimmy has really prepared for this. That's a lot of setups, and here we are again. Same teams, same coaches. The necromancy getting ready to try to bang on men. One reserved for each team, no apples whatsoever. 2 rerolls for Jimmy and 3 for AndyDavo. Everybody on chat being supportive of Jimmy Fantastic, which makes sense because it's the channel of Jimmy Fantastic. Solid defense. And there you go. Once again, this happened yesterday. Jimmy setting up, changing the setup to be a better protection versus any kind of frenzied attempt. Nice kick, very close. The ball is very close to the ball carrier for Andy. This will be the easiest catch of his life. Come on, do something. Throw some dice. Thanks, bros. Thanks, Timothy. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Oh, double power first roll of the game. What a declaration. Now he's here comes the bleed. Just pushes. It's all right. More pushes. And now he has even more pushes. But now he has a chain. Oh, and gets Jimmy and no armor break. Oh, here arrives PC, probably absolutely livid after seeing the fact that there has been no armor breaks, no removals for Jimmy. Jimmy's going to be able to use all his players next turn.
A little bit late Friday night dinner.
There you go. You haven't missed the match. Like the fact that your eyes doesn't betray you, Jimmy will have all his players for his turn. Oh, easy to do there. There's the POW. Oh my god.
Ooh, armor break, but just a stun. Would have been huge to remove a golem at that point.
Well, Panther 78, Friday night dinner is normally of the liquid type. We are talking to an artist here.
Yes, the rest of the week I have liquid dinners. It's on a Friday, I eat properly. We face exactly the same situation, of course, we did in the reverse second half drive yesterday. Jimmy's got lots and lots of inability to get knocked over. He's got lots of blodge he could shove up in the necro face. You lack any tackle to take it down, or even any wrestle. But of course, if the armor breaks come and elves get removed, then things look bleak for Jimmy. However, elf walling against a team with lots of sidestep and lots of stand firm is very tricky too, because they can just drive into it and know that you can't push them back. So it's going to be an interesting half to see how this rolls forward and or is defended by these guys. But obviously, taking those line of scrimmage hits and not losing an elf is a big, big first turn for Jimmy. A little tiny bit of equity swinging his way there.
There you go. We're not able to keep Jimmy and Elliot on the Large Hadron Collider to calculate the equity. Teams they were never allowed to be there, so there's a little international conflict. We pray they will be able to come back at some point in the future.
Now, taking the hits that Jimmy's taken, he has trapped the elf that's down in front of the whites. Very hard to see how that one gets out. And indeed, he's, as I thought, leaving it on the ground, trusting to the blodge to keep his other elves safe. And it can come back later. Also, of course, stops the necro caging around that point. Though, with the number of elves just behind it, I don't think they would have done anyway. But with two big players down for the necro, probably just a stabilizing turn here.
Yeah, there is not much that the Necro can do right now. There is a few hits, but 1 or 2 hits, 3 hits, and then the blitz.
Yeah, but they're not very sexy hits, Faemir. I mean, the golem can get 2 dice, but obviously it's on a blodge blitzer. That's only 30% to get the power. If it steps forward, the wolf can get 2 die into 2 die because the shape means he can push itself onto. I mean, 2 die into 1 die, but you'd have to move forward and cancel the other blitzer. You don't really want to throw that block. You don't want your 1 remaining wolf that isn't stunned halfway down the half, surrounded by dark elves. So it's a very tricky turn to know what Andy's going to do here.
He can 2D the blodger, and even if a push, just follow, and suddenly you have the golem basing 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 elves. And you have then a lot of options from there, but I don't think he's going to do that.
No,
here comes the blitz.
Yeah, I think if anything, he's going to move to the side and stabilize. Okay, it's a nice little stun, so Jimmy's going to have to respond to that and move some players to the left, maybe giving some space to these necro in the middle. As predicted, that blodge player does not go down, and the wolf and the elf just stare at each other.
Oh. Now Jimmy can apply a lot of pressure on the right side of the pitch right now. thanks
Absolutely
to
can.
the 2 players down. Question is, will he?
I mean, the problem with that, obviously, is those 2 players are about to stand up, and it's a golem and a wolf, 2 players you don't really want to mess with.
Oh my god!
Foul appearance stops the blitz. So I think he'll just leave that line elf to be sacrificed to the standing up necro team. Yeah, and elf wall.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There is after that.
Yeah, he's got that blodge blitzer already pinning that golem and wolf in place, so it's possible they'll knock the elf over and then still go for that blitzer, but it's not hugely likely. Takes the grass hit with the elf, stays on that wolf.
Jimmy G fails the dodge again.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve Motti. And he really had to play a very stabilising turn that turn. With a golem down and a wolf down, stunned. It really was a case of just, let's get everything back. Now, though, that wolf does have the option of hitting that elf. You can move a golem forward and get 2 into 2. But it means ramming your golems up into the face of these elves whilst your other golem and wolf are still stuck on the other side. It's a chancy move, but it could certainly create space if Andy's willing to risk it. If not, then he's spent 2 turns just getting that wolf and golem back, and it looks like that is the choice.
And looks that is the choice, yes. That block probably means the cage is not going to move much.
Well, I still think we might see this golem take a step in and the wolf take its hit. Yeah. He's got enough pieces to stabilise the cage without those 2. And he does need to try and chip an elf if he can. Wolf doesn't do its job. Armour not broken.
As remember, because the dark elves are armor 8, the claws of the wolf actually work.
They do. Except on the witches, of course.
That's the witch is Wasted TV. Like probably Wasted TV is the region in most of the players of Andy versus Jimmy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of TV in region. We know that the Jimmy is not going to be able to cast anything.
It's a slight style difference between me and Jimmy on Dark Elves. Jimmy's perpetually saying that hitting things is good, and it is, right. But Dark Elves have no real desire nor ability to really remove players. I think that. I mean, I think I play slightly more aggressive, but also slightly more positionally. But Jimmy's not wrong. Hitting things is good, and if you can chip something, it's huge in a game like this. If either golems or even one of the whites goes, it's the wraiths goes, it's huge. Obviously, there's only 3 AG3 players. The 2 wolves and the ghoul, getting one of those off would be massive. But even removing a clogging up zombie just creates more space.
Only 3 players can carry the ball in Andy's team. Comes the blitz with the witch.
Yeah, exactly, Dembeek. So claws do nothing on pro and wood elves, but on high elves and dark elves they do have an impact.
And now that zombie is closer to the cage.
Yeah, I really like that choice. I mean, not only does he have to cope with the wolves, so anything he does stand up to from the edge can be served, but pushing the zombie back into this pack of sort of quite tightly focused necromantic just gives them less options in terms of how they break out. Sometimes, paradoxically, to pull them apart, you need to tighten them up first, give them less space to move in.
And we're talking about the pieces of Blood Bowl. In a Blood Bowl game. Tabletop game. Fantasy.
Will Jimmy finally end a turn by dodging everything out and having no ones? It's possible. He only needs a couple of 2+s and then a 3-2 at the back to have everything standing. I think he'll keep going till the fail, but he certainly won't re-roll a 1 at this point.
No. No, there is no point re-rolling anything here. And that elf at the top will remain...
Okay, he's leaving that one on the ground. I think I'd have 3-2'd that up just to get it in a more worrying position, but it's still doing some work there. You can't leave the back of your cage unguarded when there's any elf in your backfield.
I think that elf on the ground more or less fulfills the same purpose. I mean, Andy can't ignore that elf anyway.
No. Yes, Barney, of course pro-elf blitzers can be clawed. But so, of course, can trees.
Talking about the trees, misspelled trees, the third part of the question of these commentators team for the
Yeah, it's a fantastic
World
team they've got going
Championship
over to
that
Montpellier,
start-
isn't it?
Yes, they are going to Montpellier, yes. And,
Three very experienced commentators, 3 great coaches, really know their Blood Bowl, 3 good voices to represent the community, a diverse bunch. I think it's all good news.
yes.
I mean, obviously, it's in some ways a shame that the sort of esports commentator from last time isn't there. But on the other hand, sod it, we've got good quality communicators in our own set of players. Okay, so Andy feeling the pinch a little bit here. It is his turn 4. He does have to start looking at how he makes progress, even if he doesn't make any yet. So he's resolved now that he has stabilised, got those stuns back into action, and he's going to push everything he's got that's aggressive and a stymie piece, so the stand firm and the sidesteppers, right up into the elves' faces, and at least either make them back off as they elf wall, or create some space and opportunity that way, putting a lot of risk onto the dark elves.
Wolf hit.
Yeah, another lineman just rides the claw. The wolf runs away, as they so bravely do.
Well, at least this time they have to dodge, which is the standard play for necromantic coaches.
Yes, Captain Oates. I mean, the one thing it gave them, but I mean, I think all 3 of them are so solid and regular at commentating on Blood Bowl, it's not needed. You need that split between the colour man and the commentator, don't you?
How will you have here, think about the chance of hitting that wolf that is at the back? On the left.
I would love to slip another piece around the back and see if we could get some hits on that wolf or something, but yeah, and Jimmy's having a little go at it. If he feels he's got his screen solid, then he'd love to get 2 pieces active back there. Really cause the Necro some worries. But on the other hand, you can't thin your screen to the point where there's any kind of way through. And I think he's going to be very mindful of that slight positioning error. I say slight positioning error, gaping hole that he left yesterday.
Well, the thing of having a professional commentator, they can add some flavor comment in the quiet moments of Blood Bowl. Some Blood Bowl games, let's be honest, they are not full of constant, non-stop action.
Which is what you are absolutely perfect for, Faemir.
Exactly. I know what my role in this war.
Yeah, but I mean, I think with those 3 particularly, you've got people that are very used to both calling the game and then, illuminating the tactics and the personalities at the same time. I really don't think it's a worry, and whoever is doing the talking they'll slip into those roles naturally.
Yes, and also having the professional commentator, having a hands-on, talented, famous man there will be, could make feel the Blood Bowl coaches bad, by comparison, like you're looking at that. But having 3 Blood Bowl coaches is like, oh, that's okay, they are like me.
Yeah, and again, I think last year there would
dwellers.
have been the concern that despite all the streaming and the commentating, how will Andy and Jimmy cope with being in an actual TV studio with cameras on them and stuff. But I think with that experience behind them, they don't need the safety net. I think they'll be fine. But I think one of them will have to step up into that sort of, central commentating role, and the other 2 more the commentators upon that, if you see what I mean. But I think any of the 3 of them are perfectly capable of doing that too.
Yes.
3 great communicators, good coaches, lots of knowledge and experience. really, I think it's going to be an extremely exciting set of streams to watch. I'm looking forward to it.
I think the only weakness, in my opinion, and it's a taste thing. I tend to like Blood Bowl teams with a higher TV, more skills, having more tools in their boxes.
There's always been a market for that. On Fumble, the majors have always had huge teams lumping hell out of each other. But like heavyweight boxing, that's lots of boxing purists will tell you they much prefer a cruiserweight or even a welterweight fight. And lots of Blood Bowl people will tell you they think sort of 13, 14, 1500
yes, there is a lot of people that also consider, a maximum 30, 14, 100, 1500 TV, where is the real.
I mean, to me, that's where I think the most skill is possible to be useful, is probably in that 13 to 16 range. Or even tighter, even 14 to 1500.
16 TV is a really good spot for most teams to have at least a plan B option.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I had to put a pin in and say that's the sweet spot, then probably 1400 for me is roughly when Blood Bowl is at its most interesting. But on the other hand, one of the things I've always loved and celebrated about Blood Bowl is its ability to please so many people in different ways. Painters, role players, super competitive.
I would say it's the other one, and it's the talent to make so many people angry in different ways.
Well, absolutely that too. Definitely that's part of it.
Big KO, there a zombie laid out of the way.
Yeah, now as I said, even that one little chip can create some space, can give an advantage, particularly with all the elves still on the field, which is so huge for this defense.
Every player count on the defense for the defense team here, because they have to keep the cage going all time, so they don't have that many pieces to do other stuff.
And with Andy starting to make a little bit of progress with this smash into the Dark Elves and make them push back, because, again, stand firm and sidestep, very hard to push the Necro back. That's why I think we're seeing Jimmy like this slightly more aggressive defense, where he's a lot more up in their face right now. Trying to limit that movement, make them have other problems to solve rather than just how do I grab space.
Turn 6 for Andy. There's been some advancement, but we're getting to the point that he needs things to happen here.
Punter, I mean, I think it's up to them, and that'll be a call that's made there and by the directors and all that sort of thing there. I mean, to me, I would suggest Andy's probably the most natural as the lead sort of wrangling Gary Lineker role, just because Tree's newer at being in that environment, although has a lot of experience from their real life, I happen to know. And Jimmy is a fantastically opinionated man, but can sometimes get a little focused on that. I think I'd want to bring him in for a quick hot take.
Hot takes with Jimmy, fantastic.
But there is a big difference, isn't there, between the the Gary Lineker role and the Alan Shearer, just coming on and waffling dully. Yeah, she's done really well on the official cast so far. I know, Captain Oates, and like I said, she's a very experienced communicator. And from her real world, brings a lot of experience and knowledge to this too. So. Although I don't want to dox her by talking more about that, I should ask her.
Forgot me, Prime.
No, I've been very impressed with this. I mean, World Cup is an interesting term, but very impressed with this competition so far.
Well,
it's attracted a good field. It's been well supported by the publishers.
Championship, World Cup, more or less the same.
Yeah.
I mean, World Cup probably involves country teams. Okay, not much happened at all, so...
Oh, showing you age there, Moppy.
Next time, Andy must take risks.
Yes. Which is also why, if you notice, he's rotated his wolves to be towards the back of his cage, where they've got the most sort of range, the most ability to go either direction. If he can find a gap, or if not, just to try and, grab a sideline.
And now Jimmy has to consider Very carefully, every movement, not leaving any spot, no gaping holes.
Well, we're at exactly that same key term where in the last game he made a mistake, though that was second half. Does he go
Yes.
aggressively in here and try and limit their movement that way, limit what breaks through, or does he elf wall? I mean, the choice is already taken, so that's why I know even if he's listening, he's not doing what I say. He's chosen to elf wall. I think, personally, I agree. I think at this point, the Necro aren't far enough forward that getting aggressive with them is really going to help much. And this is going to severely limit them, as if he makes just a couple more 2+, severely
Yes.
limit how they make any kind of progress.
Yes, also, whatever
Yeah.
happens next time for Andy's not going to score. Because the player, he can score now. Is he close enough? Nah.
No.
So there you go.
Plus, at this point, you probably wouldn't anyway, unless you really felt it was your only chance of getting it over. It's a very tough defence. We've got all the elves still on the pitch, so there's easy coverage all the way across, and still some spare ones. Yeah, so is he going to reinforce the wing or give himself a stronger centre? He's still got 2 rerolls left to get aggressive with it next turn. Very tough position he's put Andy in here.
Alma, why are you talking not played one dodge either all game? Jimmy G has
Unfortunately,
played like 3 dodges. In fact, he has talking. He has been
Unfortunately, Faemir-
failing every single roll he has made.
there is, to my mind, a small mistake here. It's tiny. It's still a really good defence. But if you look over on the right-hand side as we look, the 2 blitzers with Blodge. Now, yes, they're Blodge blitzers. But if you put a Flesh Golem in front of one of them and then Wolf the other one, you have got a 3+ dodge to get lots of pieces through. And I'm not seeing a lot better than that. Looks like Andy isn't, though. He's going to go more centrally. And probably try and hand off to a Wolf next turn. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, okay, that ghoul with the ball is technically in range.
Oh, being technically in range is tight.
What would have been interesting there is, of course, is they're both down, leaving that elf on the ground directly in front of the ball carrier. But he got his POW.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting result, even having the guard and all that.
Well, I mean, at this point, you have to be prepared to just take some risks because you've got to get some pieces down this field and into range.
It's turn 7. It's turn 7. I mean, you want to score turn 8. Yes, the Wraith is in range. The problem, what is not in range is the hands of the Wraith, which doesn't exist anymore.
Yes, we don't want another Eliod-like incident, although we should all forget that Eliod tried to pick up the ball 2 turns running with a no-hands player.
A squirrel of all players.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
now
absolutely.
he's,
Definitely. You got to jam in, make Jim roll dice. At the same time, notice that at least one of the wolves is just in a straight handoff and it's got it position.
right there.
I suspect we'll see the other one out slightly to one side to try and give another angle of attack on the touchdown line. But it could also come straight up and form another front wall in this cage, from where it's also very releasable. Now, okay, he goes with the another angle of attack off to the side option. So Andy's done about as well as you could hope there, if he didn't take the somewhat risky 3+ route through I was looking at. Problem with that was there was very little way to protect it if it got through. But of course it does give Jimmy another chance to put those walls up.
Look, let's not talk about Elliot, because after the no-hand situation, he's not working in 3D printing at the University of Leeds, which is famous for the appliance of the 3D printer for prosthetics. So maybe he, Elliot wants to give everybody hands. And isn't that lovely?
It is, and I suspect Elliot has a huge future in helping people. A very smart man with a lot to offer the world. Now, as Captain Oates has spotted in the chat, and as I think a lot of us have, there's absolutely nothing here stopping Jimmy doing exactly what he's trying to do, which is a full set of walls This is not an elf screen. This is not a chevron curtain. This is an elf wall. It'll be 2 apart and 5 across, and then there's a spare elf as well. Now, he is going to have to make a couple of dodges to make it solid, but he has dodge pieces to do that. 2 1 in 36s will see this pretty much built.
I have to correct you because based on the fact that there's a space between them, it's not a wall, it's a fence.
Okay, I'm fine with that. The point is we've moved from some form of screening to a genuine full-on block.
Yeah, there you go. Roadblocks all over the place.
Why did that witch stay up there? Is he going to put the witch in range for score? He's going to put in a Canoring threat. He is putting in a Canoring threat.
Oh,
Jimmy.
He's marking it. There you go.
Oh, Jimmy,
10
this
seconds.
is proper errant behaviour. I don't think he's quite in range. I think he's 1 short. That's what he's showing us with his wiggling. And if he is 1 short, then that witch should absolutely have pulled back and formed one of these spaces before he did any dodging.
They are movement 7.
Yep. And it's only 3 spaces over the line, making it 1 short.
Oh, here comes
He absolutely should have counted it, Kalorn, and he should have counted it before he did all his other moves. Because this riskless move has now come after 2 dodges, which could have snaked. And 2 with dodge that could have snaked. So 4 pieces dodged before that witch just moved with no risk.
I think the play for Andy, I can see maybe a sharp in the close feature followed by...
It's a 4-4-3, whatever way he does it. It doesn't matter which elf he moves.
Yes. With dodges from a ghoul.
I mean, unless you want to be... If you really want to risk it, then you can try a 2 die into a 1 die with your wolf, hoping that the 1 die is a POW, leaving you a player to leap over, which would make it a 4+3+. But it means...
I think he's going to serve one of the liners on the side.
Yeah, it means wolfing one of the side pieces, but yes, pushing it and then needing a 1 in 3 to get that POW. You're almost better just not doing it and just trying the 4-4-3. I suspect we'll see that, and I think you're right. I think we'll see a surf first. No.
Oh, no.
Just moving the most direct route. See, the problem is that Jimmy very sensibly put the blodge pieces right in front of the ball, meaning that to surf a piece, he would have created a hole, but there would have been go for it. This way, it is just the 4-4-3. Although he's now going to have to hit it again, which is a tiny bit incautious.
Yes, now it has to go with another hit. Oh, Stingy, wait a
okay,
second.
he gets 3 die and doesn't alter his route, so that's fine.
And here we go.
Now, he has rerolls to cover these, so it's a 1 in 4 fail, 1 in 4 fail, 1 in 9 fail. Fails the first, the reroll comes in. Makes it.
Well, he rolled throw the dice, and has it. I mean, he had the dodge reroll and the actual reroll to use, so it wasn't that.
Yes, he had rerolls on every one of those.
Yes, he wasn't like, oh my god, this is unbelievable. But it's still a risky maneuver, and now AndyDavo has put his feet 1 closer to the last 8.
No, Kalorn, the Chalice final you're referring to, AndyDavo won it on a 9.5% play after 3 very long halves of Blood Bowl. I suspect that was slightly better odds than that.
In the meantime, Jimmy refusing to accept the friendly invitation. There is no friendship here.
Yeah, I mean, it was the right route through. It was the minimal risk. 4-4-3 with rerolls covering them all isn't that unlikely. You'd obviously want a better route than that if you could choose. But really, I mean, Jim defended very solidly, but it's really hard to stop the Necro pushing far enough forward to get that opportunity, and they did, and it worked.
4+ is not easy, but the same definition, because it's a 50%, is not that hard either. and 75% with a reroll. So I'll take my chances with a 75% in a lot of matters in life.
Yes, but it's 75%, 75%, and then 88%, isn't it? And even if we didn't have the multiple rerolls a turn, of course, at least 2 of those would have been covered by the inbuilt dodge and then a reroll.
Yes, there was only 1 extra reroll that
Yeah,
would be
so it really
used,
wasn't that
so-
different to the play that we all remember from Blood Bowl 2. I mean, there's not much to say about it. Andy did what he had to do, rolled all the dice, and they went home.
And now here comes the 1-turn attempt by Jimmy. Jump over a square. Don't you need to have someone on the ground to do the jump over? That's the
Yes,
whole
you
point
do.
of jump over.
Yep. So like I said, the only way to achieve that was a 2 die into a 1 die and needing either essentially a 5 or a 6 on the 1 die. So that was not a good plan. No, it was the right defense from Jimmy at that point. I think we all felt. Unless someone in the chat wants to call it out. They're too busy deciding that my 88% was inaccurate, that it's 89%, of course, a 1 in 9. I just don't care. The maths aren't that important. That's going to trigger half the chat again.
Oh, there you go. Yes, yes. Some people hate the Blood Bowl is a game with dice.
Yeah, now interestingly, they've Andy's left that zombie within range to be frenzied back and used, but I wonder if he knows how. This is very much a K-Fog move. It does look like Jimmy's thinking of trying to bring it in the line and use it. I mean, that's certainly, to me, that's the way.
Now, the ball is in a very far away square. The 1-turner is on.
I'm not saying it's
with
not on.
Not many chances.
Yeah, I think it's on, but it's...
Oof.
Yeah, there's going to be some scary dice, I think, but it's definitely possible here. Is he really going to use another elf as well? He is going to use another elf to give himself 2 into 1. Yeah, this will give him a 2 die into a 1 die. Needs pushes on both, of course. No, what am I talking about? This will be 2 into 2.
Yep. 2 into 2. All he needs.
Needs pushes.
Yes. Jimmy's specialty.
It's the first. Has to
my
re-roll
God,
that.
Reroll has to be.
Doesn't get it.
1 in 81.
Doesn't get it.
1 in 81, and he was there, and he was on because the ball was in the hands of the blitzer. So it could have happened.
It definitely looked possible.
And now rolls the red dice on a fleshy just to show dominance. What a ton of events was there with Jimmy fouling, breaking armor, getting call out, and then getting a 6 on R with the call. That fall was absolutely perfect because it was the last turn of the first half.
Yep.
Jimmy has a team of 12 players, so he could afford to do that, and using Calcium as the player making the foul, is the best option because Calcium is famous for his fouls.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it seems that Thickest Carl did a thing.
When you think calcium, you think beating up children, and then straight after that, you think fouling.
Oh, come on. He doesn't beat random children. He has his own kids.
No, he gets beaten by random children. That's
Yes,
what.
yes. All the time, yes. In fact, most of his kids are now in their 20s. Okay. This setup seems to indicate that Jimmy is going to play the...
I think 5 or 6, Artemis. Yeah, I mean, Andy's gone full damage line of scrimmage here, which is very, very hard for the elves to cope with. So Jimmy's set up to dodge off the line of scrimmage, not get any hits in. Whether he plans to hang around in the midfield and look for space, I suspect he will, or run off backwards like a great big coward doing the withdrawn offense. I suspect he won't. We'll see. He's set up for either of those. Very much anti-blitz. But actually, with Davo having all his decent players on the line, a blitz is cock all used to him here.
And someone got an extra reroll? There is trapdoors in the pitch now?
Yeah, the trapdoors are on. Don't you open that trapdoor. There's something down there.
Probably that's what you say to Ian McKellen before pushing him out of the stage.
I never laid hands upon him.
Nobody said that you use your hands to push him out.
And I would rather he had not fallen. He was a lovely man.
He is a lovely
Still
man.
is.
He's still alive.
Yes, still is. I agree with Captain Oates. I don't think we're going to see the withdrawn offense here. I think it's counter-indicated with Dark Elves, and I think Jimmy agrees. It doesn't mean if he was down a few elves, he wouldn't absolutely run away. He would. But I think he still feels he's got lots of elves, lots of agency. And with all this blodge, very little the Necro can do about it. Really, the onus is on the Necro to change the expected outcome now.
Yes. So now, if there is a draw, there will be another game, I think tomorrow, around the same time.
That's right.
But if there is a winner, that's it.
Yep, if either team can nail a win here, they're straight into the last 16. But another draw sees them go into a third game, which then would feature overtime, and possibly even the thrill of penalty kicks.
The last 8 is the next stage.
Oh yes, you're right. This is the 16, isn't it?
Yes. Well, if you don't want to watch the ads, you can subscribe. Or just get up and go for a coffee.
Yeah, I think that's the situation Jimmy's thinking here. I mean, Andy could very well just stand all his pit tubes to one side of the pitch and say, go on then, score in 2 if you want to. Because I don't think Jimmy wants to. I think Jimmy's already resolved that the game 3 is where he wins.
Yes.
There's been already, I mean, hard to read his mind, but there's been already a couple of little signs when he got that first blitz down the left-hand side, pulling backwards rather than committing a blodge blitzer forwards. Kind of shows that he's in no hurry to reach the end zone.
And now Andy basing a lot of pieces there. Applying pressure using advantage of his guard pieces.
Yeah, Andy's got a nice position here, but very much like Jimmy's position yesterday, all he actually has to do is stop the elves getting forward. Now that's much harder with elves, because even though they don't have the annoying ability to not be pushed around that Necro do, of course elves have a lot of agility and a lot of pace. Stopping a move 7 agility 2+ piece with a move 4 zombie can be tricky.
KO.
And now Jimmy's got the numbers.
And a lot of space to run around. All right. Jimmy committed to the right side. Oh my God, that's me. I fell in a road. Oh my God.
Well, sometimes you can stress the other coach out by handing the ball straight back to them.
Yes, that's a thing that can happen. Yes, putting a, usually it's not recommended, but yeah. By the way, in the case some of you were wondering about what happened with Stephen Hawking's chair after yesterday, I informed you that it was sold in an auction for more than 250 grand pounds.
Wow.
In fact, I thought it would have been more expensive. I mean, the technology, they have the chair and all the stuff, the software and all that. Oh, reroll has to be used. Now this is very fine, but doesn't solve the problem, the big problem here of those pesky elves with the ball. Who made the prediction?
Me.
Ah, there you go.
Turns out I'm a mod here. Which seems fairly foolish, but there we are.
I am 1-2, so that's even more surprising. This game has the smell of a draw. Yes.
Yeah, it's looking very much that way. I mean, I don't think Jim's going to find it that difficult to get past the Necro today. It looks like he's got the space. He's certainly got the numbers on the pitch. A lot of the good Necro pieces are tied up, have been since that very odd line of scrimmage. So, yeah, I think it screams draw right now. I wish I could say something more exciting.
Some people could say that they were going to see the Elves advance down the pitch. Nice to have here Artemis Black. Long time no see.
92% of that prediction went for draw. Only 8% have gone for the Jim
That's why
win.
when I made a prediction, I usually don't use the result of the game and go for, who will dab skull next.
I know.
In which time will Jimmy come screaming into the chat?
I did it for sort of meme level value, I think. But we've got 8%. I would hope only one person thinking this is a Jim win from here somehow. And nobody thinks Davo will win. So
There you go, exactly. No traitors here. let's to be clear, for Jimmy to win, he has to score 2 touchdowns in the half. There is no overtime. Okay, it was for the odds. I can respect that. I can respect a true gambler.
Now, if anything, Jim's through a little early here. So Andy's got a choice to make between how aggressively does he try and stop these elves, or how much does he just try and cut some of the elves off from the rest of the pack, so that he can force a limited number of elves in to get some turns back, rather than allowing them to stall up near the line.
I'd say I'd be aggressive here if it was Andy, because Andy is winning the game and the series right now. So applying as much pressure, making things as difficult as possible is good for him, because worst case scenario for him, there is another game. Best case scenario for him, he wins. For Jimmy, best case scenario is there is another game.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, he's in the sort of position where he can just throw something at the wall and see if it sticks, Davo. His worst scenario is that he has to come back and have another go tomorrow. So try something. Put a wolf into a dangerous position. Risk getting surfed in order to gain some advantage. It just doesn't matter. It's all for him to win. Jim, of course, just playing to keep in it. Very stressful position. One screw up here, and he's out of the whole tournament.
Seems
I don't know,
Andy.
Dimmy's just wondering what that blitz was achieving. I mean, not very much. But as I said, it might be a case of trying to separate some of the elves off at the back of the drive. And finally, we do see an elf disappear there.
Yeah,
Fully on
Calcium gets
injured.
badly hard. 8 finally got to him.
But with Jimmy having an elf on the bench, doesn't throw the Apo at that, or doesn't have an Apo.
Because he doesn't have the apple.
So that
for
makes it very
starters.
simple. But still, caps to 11.
And that is going to keep the Fleshy out of the drive, because the Fleshy got stunned.
But really importantly, there's now 5 or 6 elves that can't join this ball heading forwards. So, in some degrees, that backwards blitz has done its job. It's kept enough elves back there that instead of pushing further forwards, Jimmy's pulling back. We can call that the Catholic offense, can't we, though? After all, Jimmy did penetrate the backfield, but didn't push it home.
Oh my God.
And then withdrew.
Oh yeah, I know where it is one to end. And
Now, unlike the Catholics, he needs to make sure he does re-penetrate and get it done. And not, of course, end up with the ball all over his shoes.
seems that the PC came here with the orange colors. Okay, so this is more or less like a restart of the drive.
No, it's completely different for Faemir. Unless you've missed it, there's a witch in the backfield, which means that Andy can't just wall up and push these elves
That's
back.
true, that's true. The witch is there, yes.
Yeah, it means he has to deal with the witch and kill it, or he has to deal with the fact that the play is now elongated along the length of the field, which is always suitable to elves.
Yes, then make you saw it wrong.
Yes, I think that's not what I saw, so I'd have to have another look.
No
Now, this is the frustrating bit
pause.
about facing this build of Dark Elves. So many blodge pieces that you just endlessly push around.
With two blocks, with defensive blocks, you have 50% of getting a POW. So Jimmy has been a little more lucky than he deserved by the numbers.
It's been an interesting game for the dice. Jimmy's dodges were pretty terrible in the first half. Lots of ones, but never anything that really cost him or worried him. So bad dice at the right time in some ways.
Oh, here comes the blitz on the Wrestle Witch. Doesn't get the POW in the first roll. Second roll, neither. Another push.
Yeah,
And
even
now
though they're
that
low.
Wolf is in what the experts call a precarious position.
I mean, you don't want to use them that way. Obviously, you want to keep your witches safe. But at a push, this Dark Elf team does have 6 blodge pieces. Well, 5 blodge and 1 rodge that it can put up as a very effective wall. And then any team without both wrestle and tackle, which these Necro are, might struggle.
Look at what beautiful tea are making the players of Jimmy there.
Tabletop players are often fond of saying that tackle is that frenzy is a poor man's tackle. Well, do you know what a rich man's tackle is? Tackle.
Yeah. So I never heard a tabletop player say that. I heard it here back in the days of Blood Bowl 2.
But to be fair, Faemir, you do not tend to hang out at a lot of tabletop tournaments.
No, that's absolutely true. It's a fact that I'm very proud of.
It's like I haven't heard a lot of high-profile athletes talking about their Blood Bowl strategies. And that may be entirely because I don't hang out with high-profile athletes.
Or maybe high-profile athletes don't play Blood Bowl.
I mean, it's one or the other, definitely.
It's one or the other, yes. 50%, impossible to know, is who knows? I'm pretty sure there are some elite athletes around the world that have played Blood Bowl at some point in their lives.
Only 2 options, so obviously it's 50-50.
Yep.
Yes, now, it was pointed out by someone still thinking about the Blood Bowl here, that the Wolves are exposed in response to those hits and this aggression that the Necro are putting in, trying to get something fun out of this game. Yes, they are.
And now we are in a big block of players that is a chains paradise for those that love to engage in chaining things.
And of course, the Wolves do not come with blodge, so actually, in many ways, they're more vulnerable. Yes, Fluffy Burrito, I think at this stage, Jimmy's feeling he's got the space. It certainly hasn't tightened up much. So it's a question of him timing exactly when and where he goes. I think this swap to the other side, leaving that whole mess behind, is pretty good business.
Yes.
And despite that being a 3-2 out, all the fail options still left all of the mobile necromantic pieces really in a tough place to get towards this ball.
I think Jimmy has a good chance at scoring here. There are not that many reactive players for the Necro to be able to, to reposition properly.
Yeah, good point from Fluffy Burrito, who did go on to explain that, yes, the exposed Wolves are exposed, but of course, they're not. Andy's not going to be driving here, so he doesn't need them for that. He can get them killed. But they're also, to the fastest, more reactive pieces, so getting them controlled or away from the action is still all very good. Yeah, now, fantastically, I'm playing Blood Bowl tomorrow, so I won't be around for the game if it does go to a third one. But I suspect we may hear Jimmy come into the booth and hyperventilate for over 5 minutes before speaking in a voice audible only to dogs. Am I Dimmy? Is it not tomorrow? Am I all old and befuddled and confused? That seems entirely possible.
Oh, armor breaker.
Yes, you're right.
7th of December.
Oh, well, I should be around for it then. Oh, that's good. I don't have to get up early tomorrow. That's nice.
Well, you have to get up early on a regular basis. You are an actor. You're supposed to become an actor to avoid those kind of situations.
Exactly the reason I did, Faemir. It's mostly evening work with no heavy lifting. I mean, you've seen me. I'm a butterball of a man. Very much built for leisure, not speed.
A body built for sin.
A temple made of sin.
Yes.
And very much dedicated to sin, yes. He's right, you know, it's a week away. Oh, that's good. So I've packed this bag today somewhat early. Very true, Ezra. Very true.
When he needed it.
Oh, well, I'll play some blood. I will stream tomorrow. There we are. That's a commitment.
Wow.
I've kept meaning to sort of get round to it, but it's so hard work.
And now there is a opening there, and now Jimmy is under a lot of pressure, and here comes the blitz.
Now, Andy's done really well here getting back in front of this drive. Obviously, there's still space up the left-hand flank. Also, there's the cut back to the right. But Jimmy needs to really commit to one of those two options absolutely fully and really get his turn ordering right. Because an early turn fail here could leave him very exposed.
That's a lot of Jimmy's player on the ground. And he invests the roll. And knocks out his own wall.
Well, I think that was to try and get it back somewhere a lot more relevant. I thought that was the right thing to do. But yeah, you run the risk and sometimes you pay the price. I mean, this has been more obviously a draw than Gandalf was obviously Gandalf in the Rings of Power. But
oh my God.
There is time for it to change. And look, the trapdoor is sort of vaguely relevant. Isn't that fun?
True. True. Ooh, dodge being used, and now here comes the blitz on the wall.
On the one remaining wolf, does not bang it out.
Ooh, of all the results.
I think he's going to
3-2
out.
Worst.
This is the fail moment if it's going to come.
This is where the tragedy starts.
Yeah, there's elves that could have come through safely first and didn't. We all see them, Jimmy. So if this 3, if he won in 9s here, it's still not an easy position for the Necromantic, but this is how he loses. I think if he makes it, the draw's on, and he's fine. But it was an incautious turn ordering to me. I still think he needs that blitzer out, but... Oh, does he think that? It looks like he does, and it makes it. 5-6, never messing, didn't need its dodge.
Exactly, and clenching his butt cheeks that were nearly welded together.
Yeah, I mean, here there's a good argument that you should... you shouldn't. Andy's too smart for it, but give Andy a nice serve to have a go at. He does love a serve. But aware that it was one of his leaks, and that people were weaponizing it against him, he has made sure that in situations like this, he doesn't go for the serve. Now, I think we might see the reroll go in here. Oh, maybe it's one turn too early. He does need to get 2 more turns out, doesn't he? 1 more turn of stalling. But the problem is that it does leave the back door slightly open. And no one likes leaving their back door open.
No.
He does re-roll it.
Okay,
Wow. Wow.
The no re-rolls area.
Wow. Fluffy Burrito wouldn't have done. Yeah, the Wraith gets a 1 die, but needs a 6. And even if it gets it, there's multiple elves around to pick it up. I'm not sure I was that bothered. If there'd been a wolf to come with it, then I would have been a lot more bothered. Yes, I mean, I can see how he can, but it's less easy, but it's possible to get the wolf there for a 1 die. Cancelling the witch is the bit that takes the
class,
reroll.
for God's sake. This is the World Championship.
Sol, of course, living in Florida, does leave his back door open, but only because he has nothing of value left to steal.
Yeah.
Hasn't either already been stolen or sold for meth.
Empty shell.
You can't steal from a man that has nothing except a, jar of blue hair dye.
Death.
Which is fun. Everyone loves a death, but it's way too late to actually influence the game.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
It doesn't not influence it. It means there's 1 less elf to defend this final turn of stalling.
No, then big. The Gators doesn't have guard. They have tackle. Ooh. And that 1 piece. Ooh!
He lets it go.
He lets it go in an armor break.
Well, I mean, theoretically on a timeout, he might need that reroll, and there's a chance something interesting happens. It doesn't seem very likely, but
Is
it's
the
not
white
impossible.
going down the trapdoor?
Well, no, because the Wraith will sidestep, and it won't sidestep onto the trapdoor.
Yes,
I would
true,
have
it's true.
thought.
My dreams crash. My dreams crash. Fucking whites.
I still hate the design of the Wraith with an absolute passion. Every time I see it, I just rather in the late 70s wearing a sheet at a fancy dress party, and I always imagine it smells vaguely of Benson and Hedges. Oh, don't be such a geek. Imagine it's also as well as a bear trap. One of those little ground-based ghost traps used in Ghostbusters TM.
It's a magic trapdoor because appeared out of nothing. So, you know, it's magic.
And another elf goes.
Oh my god,
Wow, now can you imagine if we'd had this level of elf?
Never end a game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab a can.
If we'd lost this many elves, you know, turn 1 or 2, this would have been a very different outcome, very different game. But Jimmy's not going to mind them going now. They've served their purpose. Yeah, it certainly can, this wolf. And if it cuts the corner right, it could even surf the ball. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, if it's willing to do a 3+ cut of this corner, it can surf the ball.
All right.
You don't even need to red die surf. You can cancel. Oh no, okay, you can't cancel the witch very easily. So you don't bother. You just, as you say, red die surf if you get there. 3+, 2+ to get the first one, and then a 2+ to red die. After a 1 die needing a push. I mean, I think I'd go for it. I don't see why it wouldn't.
Well, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, this was terrible positioning from Jimmy again. Having played a great game, he's left it loose towards the end again. Gets the first push.
Yes, the pass.
Gets the... Oh, double skull needing
Double
just pushes.
skull.
And Jimmy gets away with it.
Skulls. Okay,
That is...
now we can hear the unclenching of the butt cheeks of Jimmy Fantastic.
That is definitely a get away with it. He again could have positioned in ways to make that much harder.
1-1, and unless Andy managed to get the one turner, here we are waiting for the third game.
I bet Jimmy is very, very calm. After all, it's only a game.
Yes.
And
now
if he lost it, it would just be, you know, just another game that he's lost. He'd be fine with it. I mean, the Jimmy I know isn't avaricious, doesn't desperately want money or to prove himself in the world of Blood Bowl. I think he'd be fine. Of course, the Jimmy I know isn't called Jimmy Fantastic. That's Jimmy Smith, who lives around the corner.
Yeah, that's what I want to tell you. What kind of Jimmy are you talking about? Now,
Hello. Oh,
Hey, Jim.
God, that was horrible not
are you
having a
there?
reroll on that last turn because I needed
Yeah.
the dodge to seal it. If I could have known I could have made that dodge, I could have protected the ball better. But I thought I've just got to get something out there in front, and obviously ended up. He was a pretty easy surf, wasn't it? In the end of the day, I don't know.
3-2-2, 1 die into 2 uphill.
Yeah.
Needing pushes. I mean, it wasn't terrible with 1 reroll. It was a decent 40% chance of getting the sack.
so yes.
But it's still not. That's not an 80% chance, Jim. It's not a.
How clenched were your butt cheeks during the instant before that double skull? How many
Yeah.
clenching tons of power there were there?
Nah.
Nearly close to create and open a black hole of pure
Yes.
pressure.
Tomorrow, should we put a couple of bits of coal up there before the deciding
It's just
game?
a game, isn't it? It's just a game.
And have some diamonds by midnight.
I'll win the third one. But I would have definitely lost in overtime this game. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go more aggro on defense in the decider.
Well, it's an interesting question, Jim. I mean, I posed it at the start of this one. You've both got very difficult abilities for the other one to cope with. It's difficult to L-fall against something where you can't push them back because of all the sidestep, because of all the stand firm, and where you're obviously worried about getting surfed back, so you can't also control the sidelines and fight it out there. But at the same time, he hasn't got any tackle, and you've got 4 blodge blitzers and 2, a blodge and a rodge witch, so if it needs to be 6 dodge pieces that you can drop on him, and he has no real answer to. So maybe the sort of pro-elf smother him and just keep going and eventually the ball will pop somehow approach. Maybe that's the right answer here.
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm going to have to do the last game, because I can't. I mean, well, the screening got a 50-50, didn't I, at the end of the day?
Yeah,
yeah. And I messed up to give him a chance at the end, but I did get a 50-50.
No, we all liked that. We thought that wall across the pitch was the right way to go. Really good chance of stopping him, but it didn't quite. But of course, if he'd got... That said, if you do go in super aggressive right at the start and you lose the 3 elves you lost towards the end of the game, if that was turns 1 and 2,
yes,
then that's a brutally difficult position to be in.
I'm not going to Olivier Delac it. I'm not going to go all in on 1 and 2, but 5, 6, 7, right? Like they're the turns where I just walled them the last turn, and it was a 50-50. But if I defended wrongly, it could have been easier than 50%, couldn't it? But really, by just walling off, best case, you're looking at 50%, aren't you? Which isn't great.
No, he was lucky to get that home. And obviously there was that lovely moment where you stunned both a wolf and a flesh golem in the same turn.
Yeah.
If that had been turn 5 or 6, that's drive debilitating. As it was, it took him 2 turns to restabilize after that.
Yeah, the witch. The problem is, what if I 1D and then die, right? What if my witch elf just dies doing a stupid 1D into an uphill? I didn't want to mess it up. I didn't count the squares. What a nerd! I didn't count the squares. I just waited. That was really bad play, wasn't it? Really bad mistake not counting the squares first. I just looked at it and thought she'd be in range.
I mean, not counting the squares was a mild mistake. Leaving her 1 square short was not to be held. Starting the turn thinking, oh, she's my Knorring threat, absolutely fine. But that's when you count the squares.
Yes.
Because you did 4 dodges and then moved her back with no risk. So obviously, any fool know that the turn ordering correctly there is move that witch first.
Well, yes, it's count the squares. It's count the squares, and then you got the ordering. Right. Also the blitz. Oh god, the blitz when I had those 2 dodges to make first. That was so bad.
Yeah.
That was real. So I made a few mistakes.
A couple of elves should have come before that, really, Jim, and you know it.
Yeah, and I don't think Andy made any mistakes again. This is super annoying.
No.
At least he did fail something though, didn't he? He won a flesh golem, so that helped me out a lot. So
if you were coaching the person here for £30 for 90 minutes, which Jim advertises regularly on his Discord, do contact him if you want coaching. I don't advertise, but I do occasionally do a bit of coaching.
Jimmy.
So what I would say to you here, Jim, is I think it may only be 2 games, but I'd be a little concerned about whether your focus disappears or wavers a little in turns sort of 14 to 16.
Yeah, and then the
because two nights running, it has had a little waver there, hasn't it?
Yeah, the ordering on those dodges. I thought the screen that let me be surfed wasn't too bad because it was a pick your poison moment. I either had to let him in for free on the other side, or defend against the wolf. So I thought I've got to do this halfway house, which ended up working, but it was tough with not having rerolls. If I have the reroll for the Lino dodge, then I would have caged differently. But
I would probably not have used that final reroll. We were very interested in that in the chat. There was a route round, obviously, for a nice, easy 1-die on the ball,
Could have had a
but
2D.
not much else that could have got
Could
there.
have had a 2D. The wolf that would have had a dodge off because the Wraith.
Yeah, the
comes
wolf could have
round.
come around the other side.
Wraith
Yeah.
comes round to cancel the witch assist and assist himself, and then the wolf comes round, so he's got 4 dice.
Okay, so if you felt it had to go, then it had to go.
Yeah, he had 4 dice.
But
on the
the
board
only
there, pretty
the only ones that really noticed to me was that blitz where you could have moved a couple of pieces first to
Yeah.
make it safer in case.
Yeah,
the
that was
weather might
definitely
happen.
wrong. That was definitely wrong. And the witch elf that wasn't
Yeah.
a scoring threat was definitely wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I mean, these are, again, we all beat ourselves up over very tiny mistakes. But I thought Davo played, as you said, a little tighter to the ideal.
Yeah. The problem if I scream vertically up the pitch, then he can get in front of me with the race.
Yep.
If I failed a 2+ dodge, so if I had a reroll, I could have thought about lots of different things. But without a reroll, I felt like it was tough. But maybe I should have taken more time. Maybe those turns I should just take a little bit more time. I'm always conscious of the time bank, and I try not to deplete it too much. But yeah, maybe turns 6 and 7 I should use a bit more time bank and make sure I get it.
Or go with the Dionysian route. You had a nice banana or something before the game, or a sugary drink at half time to keep your energy levels up, or whatever.
Yes, a gamer drink.
Oh yes.
Because there's a human there as well as the coaching.
Some caffeine. Some caffeine.
Yeah.
I remember caffeine takes around half an hour to start to work.
It doesn't really
It does.
work.
That's why I was recommending half time. Plus, there's a really, really high potential here that's just the accident of 2 games running and 2 small mistakes. It's probably not that you're going to start making mistakes in turns 14 to 16.
Tomorrow it's at 7:30 again.
Tomorrow 7:30, and thank you Olivia and thank you Sol and everybody else who I haven't seen, but I saw those 2. Sorry if it was said things.
No.
But,
Thank you for having me, Jim. I'm going to have to disappear for complex reasons. I have to go and replan my tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Faemir and PC. Glorious of you coming in.
Absolute pleasure. I'll try and be back for the finals.
Cheers, guys. And that's it. Cocaine? No. I'm 44. I'm too old for that. But yeah, that was a hell of a game, wasn't it? Again, I made a few mistakes. I mean, I am critical of myself. Maybe some things that Davo did were mistakes, but it certainly didn't feel like it. Maybe him letting me down. Maybe his setup in the second half was maybe a little bit weak. But he didn't do anything that I thought was just absolutely wrong. But maybe if I'm watching the replay, maybe I'll see a mistake that he made that I could have taken advantage of. But during the time, I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything that looked like a mistake to me. Really good again from Davo. At the end of the day, if I lose this 3rd game, I can't have any complaints because he has played great both games. Absolutely fantastic. Again, annoyingly, right? I'd love him to just be an idiot. Just one turn, just make an idiotic mistake and let me in. We both made a 50% score. 50% of the time, he doesn't score on his drive there. 50% I didn't score on my drive the first game. So, we both made that, and a 3rd game flipped me. Right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and stay fantastic.